Hello and welcome to the latest case study session here on day 4 of the International Airport Online Summit. I'm Luke Antonio, editor of Intelligent Transport, the sister brand to your host today, International Airport Review. I'll be your moderator for this session, brought to you this time by Amadeus Airport IT. Now, during this session, we'll be exploring contactless technology for airports, and your presenter will be Holger Mattig, VP of Product Management at Amadeus. Before I hand over to Holger for his presentation, a reminder to those of you watching live online, please do get your questions in before the end of the session so that we can answer as many as we can. And there's also a poll running during the session too, so please do get your answers in so that we can discuss the progress that you're making when it comes to tech-enabled initiatives throughout airports around the world. For now, though, Holger, it's over to you. Please take it away.
Thank you, Luke. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Let me start with putting the technology and automation in perspective of the current pandemic first. So pre-COVID, we obviously had a lot of self-service automation initiatives going on in airports, mainly to improve airport capacity and improve the passenger experience. Reducing queues and give more control to the passenger and that service. So post-COVID, we see a change here. Self-service automation is still there, but now the focus is more on reducing human-to-human contact in the process, also to make sure that we reduce passenger aggregation points and reduce passenger queues to keep social distancing and things like that. So this is all based on, obviously, the fact that passengers are very worried about the environment they go through. They want to be safe. They want to make sure that this is all clean. And also there are some technical challenges when passengers come with gloves, for example. How would the technology react when they have to touch screens or things like that? So with this in mind, let's look at how the face of travel have changed in the recent months. And at this point, while I'm going through these items, you are invited to participate in a poll, like Luke said, so we can get a good understanding of the adoption rate of those. So first and foremost, safety and security of staff and passengers is relevant these days. And you see here at the left side that all of these masks, UV cleaning, shields, wearing gloves have been implemented. This can be done quickly, and when you go through airports today, you see them everywhere, like most probably in all the other areas of our daily life. But we also see initiatives coming more and more for dispersed services of airport check-in, in initiatives to try to reduce the load of terminals and make sure that we face less aggregated areas. Then temperature checks. These could be pre-travel on a one-on-one basis or crowd checks, but also automated temperature checks during the self-service process. The automation of services itself to reduce the human-to-human touch is a big topic, and there are quite a number of possibilities to achieve on top of what you might have done with self-service implementation already. These ranges from back-tag printing to touchless remote control, and on the bigger scale, obviously, going to biometrics and all kinds of frictionless initiatives. So maybe we can take a look at the poll and see what is out there at the moment. So Luke, maybe you can help me looking at the results.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Holger. So far, out of the initiatives that you've highlighted there, 27% have implemented safety and security measures for staff and passengers, for example, shields, masks, and UV cleaning. 18% dispersed services or off airport check-in, which has just changed to 14%. So 14% pre-travel temperature checks, 14% automated temperature checks. And then it's an even split between automation of services, touchless travel via remote control, and then back up to 14% for biometric enabled travel. Are you surprised in any way by what you're seeing there? And are you surprised that it's the same level for pre-travel temperature checks and automated temperature checks. And like you said, it is really important to take out that touch basis.
No, I'm not surprised, because the level of automation, or the initiative, the complexity of implementing these initiatives from left to right here are obviously increasing. So it's quick, fast, and cheaper to do all these safety and security measures. So I'm not surprised that this has a higher percentage. And it's more complex, obviously, to do biometric and frictionless. So let me take you through the whole program here, and we can discuss a couple of those in more detail. So looking at the options a passenger has when he goes through an airport, or she goes through an airport, obviously there's still this full service check-in, where there's a lot of human-to-human interaction, and from top to bottom here, you see the level of automation would increase. And let me pick the scenario where a passenger is prepared with the mobile check-in, with the boarding pass, and approaches the airport and is going through the bag tag printing process and dropping a bag. So what can be done here? So the idea is basically that the kiosk sits and waits and offers a bag tag, producing a bag tag based on the boarding pass that the passenger has already. So you see here a simple flow. The kiosk will wait, invite the passenger, and then while scanning, or after scanning the boarding pass, the processing happens and the bag tag comes out. So this works with multi airlines connected. So based on the boarding pass, that can be done. It is a white label application, of course, to make sure it can be rolled out to the variety of CAS and kiosk providers. So I show you an example from Avinor in Norway, a company which is very innovative and very forward-leaning on this. You see here, this is the kiosk that is actually used, and this lady now is scanning the boarding pass, and you will see that based on the flight number and the airline code, the machine or the application is able to identify the correct DCS, and off it comes with a bag tag. So that's a very straightforward process, nothing to touch. Existing equipment can be repurposed for this, and we see quite a number of projects going that way. With this, we also see that the requirements around the device itself, or the kiosk, change. So there is a trend to ask for a lighter version of kiosks, so a smaller screen, still CAS compliant, of course, but for example, here in this case, just for the purpose of scanning a boarding pass and printing a bag tag. Those still would need to be upgradable, of course, for future, but we clearly see that there is this trend of asking for smaller devices. It doesn't have to be like this, it doesn't have to look like this. So here another example from Norway, where while passengers are on board the airport train, they can use their time, and this machine will help them to print their bag tags. So they can scan again. Here you see their boarding pass, and a bag tag will be produced. So that's the bag tag side of things. Looking at the self-service in general, when the pandemic started, we had a deeper look at technology options that we can add to what is out there already in terms of self-service devices. And then the typical candidates were obviously use the voice or the gesture or the foot of a passenger to help reducing the interaction with the machine. And then certainly the idea of using the mobile phone that a passenger carries and most probably already has a boarding pass on that mobile phone. So there is a couple of findings there which I want to share. So voice is obviously very easy to implement. A lot of tools are out there for voice recognition. The issue is, and we trialed this in a couple of airports, is that obviously the airport terminal environment is challenging in terms of audio and cross-talk risks. So that's something that works, but we have not further investigated on those based on the feedback we received from our customers. And gesture is pretty much the same. You know this maybe from your home entertainment or other areas where you could use gesture to operate a machine. And but here is the same. It's the precision that maybe is difficult. It's the user experience that most probably is not good when you put this on top of existing CAS applications. And obviously there is a risk of what we would call public embarrassment when you see people dancing in front of these machines, struggling to find the right buttons. Another one was food, and that's a very simple concept. I show you that on the next slide. But the problem with this is that there's a lot of disruption between the view on the screen, and then you go down with your head and see and try to find the right pedal to operate the screen. And the fourth option, obviously, is the mobile phone, which I'm elaborating a bit further during my presentation here. So this is the example of the foot pedal. So it's a larger version of the keypad that is there for passengers with reduced mobility. You could put this on in front of the machine and then use this pedal to operate the buttons. Again, a good idea, very cheap to implement, but it has its disadvantage in user experience. On mobile phone, the good thing here is that there is a trend already in the industry to use the mobile phone for all kind of transactions, be it payments, be it the boarding pass, and other communication with your airline or your carrier and the airport itself. So we feel this is a good starting point to look at how this could further be developed to allow a touchless experience in the passenger journey. And here, obviously, the mobile phone can help to do biometric enrollments. It can help to operate a kiosk or a backdrop. It has a scanner, so it could be used to scan boarding pass and backtags, and you will see in the following slides how that works with the Amadeus product portfolio. So this is an example here to operate a kiosk. So you see the first thing the passenger does here is to do the pairing between the mobile phone and the application, and you will see a big cursor popping up. So that's the trackpad solution that we call. So that you can use now the mobile phone to operate the buttons on the screen, or like you see here, scanning of a mobile boarding pass to register at a backdrop unit your bag. So as a next step, the application asks to scan the bag. Both are merged on the CAS application, and when it's good to go, you will see that the bag moves into the baggage system. So that's what we call trackpad. Another evolution of this is what we call the remote control or mirroring of the CAS application. So this is not a remote control. This is after pairing of the passenger's mobile phone to the kiosk, a rendering of the CAS screens onto the mobile phone. And this, as you can see here, provides a fantastic user experience. The only thing the passenger has to do is to do the pairing, as you saw before, and then you see here that all of these screens on CAS application, on the airline CAS application, are rendered into the mobile phone. So it's a much better experience. It covers all of the typical process that you see here in terms of seat selections, group check-in, bag tag printing, and once this is done at the kiosk, all the duties that needs to be done at the kiosk, the passenger can proceed to the backdrop unit and do the same. So again, a pairing of the mobile phone with the backdrop unit, and then it's again the same principle. The screens are actually rendered into the mobile phone, and the passenger would just have to view what's going on his mobile phone, so no disruption on the flow, and everything is entirely touchless with regards to the backdrop or kiosk unit. So this is a very, very good concept. We are talking to many airlines and building this. It's CAS independent, so it's basically able then to sit on different devices, different vendors, and this is certainly a way and a concept that you will see developing further in the coming months. The next, that was basically the touchless part of it. The next evolution of this is obviously biometric enabled travel, and there are two concepts or two ways to approach this. On the left side, this is the case where you are in the market with sovereign identity providers such as CBP, TVS in the US, or DigiYatra in India, and those can serve as reference point for document checks and help the identity management. And on the right side, you see those cases and a solution I will show you for cases where these are not in place, and the identity management is then necessary to be done either by the airport or in a network. So I will show you that part in terms of registration. So it works for a day of travel as well as for a permanent account. So what you would have to do first, our passenger, is to scan all the required documents that are relevant for the journey. It's the passport details, as you see here. It requires a photo, and all these transactions can be done on a mobile phone. And once this is done, there is an option to create a permanent profile. So if a passenger wants to use this several times, then that profile or that permanent token can be used for that to pair the boarding pass or itinerary in the future with this token. Then the phase basically is ready to be accepted in the next step of the process, as you see here, and that could be during a check-in or during a backdrop. Again, now you don't need the pairing anymore. You stand in front of the device, and through the biometric identification, it will then pull out the relevant transactions. Now, there are countries that have rules and regulations where it's not so easy to put to use just a mobile enrollment, so further verification might be required. So in this case, like here, it could be a kiosk again, where the passenger would have to report and do some additional verification for passport or anything like that. But the face actually becomes the token that actually allows the seamless experience for the passenger. Now, once this is done, and this is what you see here, there is basically all of the touch points from curb to gate, border and beyond that can be used. An example that you see here, and a very prominent example, is the boarding, obviously. Here, what happens when you see a passenger in front of it, it takes a photo, and then two things happen. It's first, the validation and the update of the CBP exit program. And second, you see the update of the DCS. So it's two transactions that are actually processed while the passenger is going through here. But this is obviously applicable to all of the touch points from curb to gate. As I said, this can be used in the border environment and beyond. So if you want to roll this out to payments or beyond the airport, even to hotel check-in, that's certainly possible with this technology. Looking quickly at what is used and how it is done. So this is the camera module that we use throughout the different devices. And the beauty of that camera module, first of all, it's really tiny. It's part of the entire design, so you don't have to deal with extra cameras on top of devices and so on. So it looks really good from a user point of view, from a design point of view. But there's also space in there to integrate thermal scanning. So if that is a requirement, and here we come to automated temperature scan. So this is actually then taking the temperature of the person that is in front of the kiosk, and this could trigger an alert, an alarm, or whatever the process and procedure is at that particular airport or installation to work with this signal. Now, this was all about the passengers and the touchless in this changing environment during the pandemic, but there's obviously also a lot to be done with the airlines, because this is heavy for airlines as well, as we all hear in the daily news. So what can be done also to help the airlines in this situation with new technology? So they are obviously looking at reducing costs. They are looking at providing new services, dispersed services. They obviously have a very rapidly changing network. You see them changing aircrafts and flight times, and changing, reducing their program, their flight schedules. So they need to be very quick with deployment. They have repatriation flights where they fly to destinations that have never been before. So providing check-in services at those sites require quick deployment, and obviously at the same time keep the high SLAs and resilience. Now, what can we do, or what do we do in this space? So if you look at this, this is a quick diagram on how the traditional common use is done. So you have the airlines here with their departure control systems, and from an airline point of view, you need to connect to every airport that is there. This takes time, it's costly, and this is far away from being agile and possible to do quick changes. So we have redefined in Amadeus that common use approach. So we took away all of this complexity. As you see here, there is a single link of DCSs into our Amadeus cloud services. And we have removed the core rooms and local data centers from the airports into our cloud service, so that you can connect the CUPS station and CUS applications through the internet, or through VPN, or whatever your requirement are. We know we had a lot of discussion around resilience and availability. I think we have proven with the many projects that we have done already that this platform is very robust, and through the redundancies that we've built in the network connections, and also within the data centers, as well as between the data centers, that we have built quite impressive resilience here. So with this cloud approach, and clearly cloud is coming more and more, because airlines and airport understand that this is a technology that can help them to be agile and more cost efficient. You then can start to do quicker deployment. You can create new passenger touch points, passenger handling touch points. You can disperse. You can certainly handle better that way social distancing, but you can also better scale up or scale down in this situation. And that is not only valid for the airport itself. You certainly can also use that and start to create services outside of your airport. And this is really supported by the cloud technology. And I would like to close with this picture here. It also helps to create new services like our famous customer in Australia, Oasis, that have created a whole set of new services around these cloud services. I think with this, I'm done with my speech. So any questions maybe that we would want to take at this point?
Yeah, Holger, thank you very much indeed. Amazing to see the way that this kind of technology is being implemented and I suppose adapted for the current circumstances, and how it can help airports to get back on track in the near future. As you say, we do have some questions from the audience, which is great to run through. For those of you watching online, keep them coming in. We have a few minutes to run through. So Holger, the first one here, and I think you touched on it at the end there a bit. Thinking of the impact of contactless technology in an IT perspective, does contactless usually mean wireless as well?
No, it doesn't mean wireless as well. Of course, when we talk about the mobile phone, then there needs to be some kind of some kind of wireless technology involved, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you saw that these laptops or machines, they can also be connected in any other way, traditional way. That's not the point, but obviously, when we are wireless, or when we don't need all these fixed routers in core rooms anymore, we can be much more flexible, and we can go quicker offsite and help quicker with all these demands on dispersed services.
Yeah, great, thank you. And another one from the audience here as well. Is there an alternative to facial recognition, another biometric, for example, in response to passengers wearing face coverings? I think that's something that people are going to come up against quite frequently in the near future.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think facial recognition somehow has been identified by many players in this space now as the way to go. But obviously there are other biometric tokens. I mean, this could be your fingerprint, it could be your iris, it could be other technologies. And yes, I mean, at one point in time, maybe there might be a shift. To us, this is a token. I mean, this is something that we can process. We could also use fingerprints or other things. But as I said, at the moment, I think this industry is more heading towards using facial recognition.
Yeah, sure. It certainly does seem to be the biometric of choice. And I think that's probably the case for a number of other industries as well. So looking ahead as well to the next question, whereabouts is your touchless technology being used currently?
Yeah, we have done quite a number of projects in the last few months. So the biggest, the first one, and this is because these Norwegian airports are so innovative and forward-leaning, is obviously in Norway. We are working very closely with them. So great company and great initiatives there. So Avinor is really our reference there. But we also are working with tier 1 airports in Asia and Europe. We have a number of other trials that we do because people really are at that stage, I think, want to make sure that it works. So all of these initiatives mainly go through trials and then getting implemented. But yeah, we can see the backtack printing picking up quite a bit now. And on the cloud side, I think we have now almost 4,000 workstations out there. It's like almost a copy and paste now. So we really see this picking up. We have done some recent great wins, and you will see more of this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. It sounds like real progress. For the trackpad solution that you mentioned on the mobile, yes, do you need to download an app for that to work?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because that's always the first concern, right? Do we have extra load for passengers to download apps and things like that? So yes and no. It's designed in the two ways to go. It can be an app, but that app doesn't have to be a dedicated app. It can be embedded in maybe an airport app or airline app. But it is also possible to refer, after the pairing, to refer to a website, so that you don't need to actually download an extra app.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that would be. I think that's probably a comfort
yes,
to operators,
like
for sure.
Security question. It's not. I mean, from a user point of view, obviously, you don't want to deal with all these apps and all these additional complexities. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you have an app for just about everything on your phone already. You could do without having one more for something you might not use all that frequently. So that's great. So looking quickly, I think we've got time for one more question. Looking quickly at the cloud service, how do you ensure resilience of your cloud service? Because obviously that's a massive security and cybersecurity point for anyone looking to adopt this kind of technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Amadeus, we've seen in the recent years massive investment in this. We have our own security control center. We have massively invested in technology, and so at this point we have several layers of resilience. So obviously the DCS2, the data center, or through the cloud service that we provide. There are a number of links, so it doesn't rely only on one link. Then within the data center, there is this what you typically would do, like failover systems and high availability and things like that. But then very unique, and that's much more than every other vendor can do here, is we can fail over between data centers. So if you lose your connection to your first point of contact, which could be our data center in Europe, you can fail over to the one in Asia and you can continue. And that's something that is very unique and helps really boosting this service, because if you lose your core room in an airport or your network, you're blind. That's it. And it's different when you lose cloud. Many people, just discover this, but yeah, this is definitely something that is an advantage and really helps promoting this way of agile deployment.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that will come as a real kind of source of comfort for airports, again, looking to implement it.
Yeah.
All right, great. Unfortunately, that's just about all we have time for, so we'll have to bring the session to a close. But Holger, thank you very much indeed for your time, your insight here, and for answering our questions as well. It's almost time for our next panel discussion as well. So for our audience, please stay tuned for that as we take a look at how airports can identify potential problems before they actually impact passengers. We're getting underway with that in just about 30 minutes time. But for now, Holger, thank you very much again for your insight, and for our audience as well. I'll see you all again shortly, but goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.